do something right away.
Yes.
Okay, any public comments? No public, okay. Roll call. Still getting the hang of this stuff. I'm here. Committee Vice Chair Ann Rivas. Dorian Perez. Sylvia Diaz.
Here.
Ray Black.
Here.
Zay Chalice.
Yeah.
And Sarah Walker. Motion to excuse committee member.
We can skip that one this time. Sorry if that's just a built-in.
Okay. Approval of minutes from the last meeting, I think, right?
Yeah, and I went ahead and printed everybody's packets because like it's been a minute.
Yeah.
So the minutes is on page 2 and 3 of your little packets that I included.
Oh, the dozer was delivered, okay.
Yeah, we've actually used it a couple.
I make a motion to approve.
So that's.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? 0.
Sorry, who did the motion? No citizen comments again. You want me to read my staff report or do you want to do it or? So basically the staff report was just that email. I don't know if you guys all saw it that I sent yesterday or Monday. I'm not sure. Last week during the June 18th city council meeting, the council held a vote to continue the Trails Committee for an additional year. The request to continue the Trails Committee was voted on and it did pass. The next step is the resolution going before the city council on July 2nd. If the resolution passes as written, the Trails Committee's purpose is to provide input and recommendations regarding trails improvement, trail planning, and trail development. The scope of work includes monitoring the condition of existing trails, providing recommendation and assisting with removal of invasive species, evaluating trail sites and existing trails plans, providing recommendation to develop the trail, including recommendations for leasing and purchasing additional land for trail development, providing recommendations regarding erosion control, recruiting volunteers for trail development and maintenance, reporting observed issues with trails and making recommendations for improvements, providing recommendations regarding trail amenities, including but not limited to bridges and trail signage. If you would like to remain on the committee, we would be very happy to have you. Please let me know if you would like to continue or vacate your position on the Trails Committee. We will post any vacancies as quickly as we can if the city accepts the resolution as written. And that's kind of all my update is for this month.
I read that in your email
Yeah,
whenever you sent it.
yeah.
And you started out with that, but how was this introduced by someone or did that just come up at the council meeting?
The city council, a couple of city council members brought it back. Laura Lee and
Okay.
council member Bear requested that both the Trails Committee and the Garden Committee continue for another year because we're not really done. So,
Well, I've been appointed. All of the council has gotten appointments to the various boards and commissions and committees.
Sure.
And I was appointed to Trails,
Got it.
and another person was appointed to Garden. And my comment at the time was, yeah, and then you're gonna let these groups lapse and you appointed us to be with them.
Yeah.
And Bear went, shouldn't, should they? And I said, well, I think we can do something about that because they still have work to do if they want to do it. So I was really pleased that the council's been really receptive with that. That
So
was,
it's just introduced to the council. And then at some point they do a adopt or.
a resolution, basically, everything that I just read is essentially word for word in the resolution
Okay.
as it is written. It might be like, oh, we don't want this included. I don't know if that normally happens, to be honest.
well,
But that
depends
goes,
on how contentious it gets, but this is not contentious.
yeah, so that goes before city council on July 10th. So, but essentially, you have another year regardless, that they've already agreed on that. It's just, the specifics.
Sure.
But it's definitely, the next year has been approved. So if you guys are wanting to continue, if you want to go ahead and shoot me an email and let me know, yes, no, and then I'll fill any vacancies if there are any, et cetera, so. That was pretty much it for my staff update.
No, I'm so excited about this description.
Yeah, I figured you might like that.
So if we could get into all that kind of stuff next year, I think that
You might need to meet once a month.
would. Our meetings might get a little longer.
Oh, that is the other thing, so. Because, there's this, we've opened the scope up a bit. The only thing that I do want to say is, I have to have the agendas in 3 weeks in advance. So when you guys tell me we want this on the agenda, it's probably not gonna be the next agenda in a week, because that only gives me a week. So it's probably gonna be you're gonna say you give me a list of things that you want, and say we had a July agenda, or July meeting, it's probably not gonna make it. It would be August, so kind of plan mentally, it's gonna be 2 months
Is
out.
that what you want from us, to kind of look at this and just prioritize?
I would like you guys, in my mind, also to sort of maybe towards, at the very end, say, hey, this is what we'd like to see on the next 1 or 2 agendas. And I'm also gonna be honest and say that I might ask you guys to skip the July agenda, because I literally would have 3 days to put it together because of the 4th of July holiday. It's just, it's gonna be a little difficult. So I'm sort of hoping we could skip July, or maybe even move July another week. That would work too. That'd give me a little bit more time. But if we could like narrow down your top 5, 10 things, and I'll put as much as I can on, agendas going forward. I'm not gonna lie, the agendas that you guys have seen me put together the last probably 3 or 4 months have been pretty subpar. I've been a little busy. So this is not my best work.
But they were
But
we got so much more done in the last 6 months than we did the first 6 months, that we are so excited about
true.
any of that.
That's
So
true, yeah.
But the sad thing is, like, if it would have been normal, it would have probably been twice the amount. But I just didn't have twice the amount in me right now, so I'm hoping to catch back up on that, but, sure.
I want you to understand that you don't have to do all of the things that are on the scope of work.
Yeah,
That just allows you to work in those areas if you want, if the committee chooses to do so. And there's no deadlines on any of it, except ones that you self-impose. Or
or a
perhaps
year.
yeah, well,
Maybe.
maybe not, it just depends. So, the Parks Board may give you some direction. Or the council may say, we're really interested in this area of trail, and we would love to have the committee take a look at that. So you will still take direction from the Parks Board. And
Is there an additional, maybe, I don't know if I'm out of place in asking this question at this point, but is there additional monies in the budget coming in? It's been a year. is there
Not that I
allocated?
know of, other than I sort of did like a budget, but it hasn't passed, because it's not till October.
Okay,
So I'm gonna say, not that I know of,
Okay.
but,
so
So.
October of every year.
yeah.
You're getting what it comes up.
Yeah.
we start doing budget work, we've already
Yeah,
started.
started a couple
Um,
months ago.
And in September, we will have to finalize what the budget proposal is, and there will be public workshops in there.
So it might be that, whatever, maybe what they decide would be for next budget year, it would go into next, or I don't really know how that works.
Well, it just depends on what's in the Parks and Rec budget.
Yeah.
Things. Surprises. It's like, oh, sure, we
Yeah.
can do that, or, well, no, that's not in the budget. Sometimes it becomes a priority, gets done. And sometimes it just doesn't get the priority list, even if it's in the budget.
are we still able to use those funds that came from that grant, or did we spend all that grant work, and 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 did we spend
Sorry, my computer's.
I'll have to ask Mary Ann about that.
Because about a year ago when we started, that was kind of our first meeting, was like, oh, we're gonna do all this, and then it was like, well, you have this much money that can only be spent on trail amenities. So I'm not sure.
Well, because I know they talked about some of that had to go to the Vibe, so I'm gonna have to kind of find out where that is,
Hmm,
you know. I mean, I know what you guys have spent, but I don't know where it all, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So I will actually have to ask her about that, because I kind of came in. So
Yeah, right.
that'll have to, yeah.
Okay.
Is there an actual grant that you're talking about?
Hayes. Is it Hayes? There's something about Hayes
The
County
county?
gave 2 million towards the trails, but I know they were talking about a good chunk of that going to the Vibe, but I don't know
Yeah, I don't know.
where that's sitting currently. So I'll have to check into that.
So that's when I look at some of this stuff. A year ago, I was like, oh, we can actually put that into like erosion control, for example, or cutting new trail, getting professionals to come in or whatever. And that first meeting was like, no, it's about amenities, bathrooms. And so that's what we've been doing for the past year. So to see how much we have, if we end up talking about this stuff tonight or any other night, I guess. How much we have to spend or what we're there.
Well, and like I said, even if it's not something that we could do this year, it's the potential of something you could table and we could put on for the budget for next year. Be like, hey, this is what they would really like, you know, again, like she was saying, talk to the Parks Board and all that stuff too. Chain of command, all that stuff, but definitely, even if it's just stuff that we're doing, you know, as trails, you know, there's still gonna be quite a few options that we didn't even we couldn't look at before because it wasn't written that way.
So I would like to talk about these tonight, but I don't know what the agenda for tonight and if we want to do that later.
So we can talk about that because I think I left it pretty open on the agenda. It was just, double check. Trail amenities, so it would have to stick to the trail amenities part. For tonight, but I do want to get like a feel for what you guys want me to put on the agenda for next. But if we want to go ahead with what we have planned here for the Zay and, for the signage portion,
Okay,
and then kind of get to it after that if we have time, if that's okay.
great.
And then I did talk to Kashaw. Basically, he said this is what we have. They don't have, I think he said a 10 and a 25. He said they didn't have anything for that particular floodplain map.
Okay.
Sorry, I think I was supposed to email you back.
I don't know. I think I just told you like us on this information.
Yeah. And I did include the, this was from a couple months ago for the Trails Committee. For the signage, in case you guys wanted to look back, because I wasn't sure if you remember, because it's been a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, so what this information is on the screen here is, some of it is combination of GIS information that the city has available, and then what we have picked up riding the trails in Plum Creek. So that's why some of this doesn't line up 100%. And GIS stands for grossly inaccurate system. My old boss always used to say. So the yellow is the Vibe Trail. It's a combination. So the lines here is a combination of existing and proposed. So like for instance, this line up here, even though it's not constructed, but the master plan for the Vibe Trail system is located there. So that's, might see some information on here that doesn't actually exist out in the field. Then the green lines here are what your natural trails are. So this is like the actual, per the GIS system, the Creek Trail. And then the red is what we rode mountain bike. But this is some of the locations, not all of it, but the natural trails that Josh and some other volunteers have constructed over the last years. And then the light blue line, the cyan, that is the 1 in 100-year floodplain. And the dark blue is the 1 in 500. Basically, just what the propensity or flooding events would be. So 1 in 100-year, any rainfall event given on any given day has a 1% chance of being a 100-year flood. The 1 in 500, any is a 0.2%, 5%, 0.2% chance being 1 in 500. So, the reason we put this together is obviously some of the signage, some of the specific signage currently is not allowed to be in the floodplain. Essentially, as you can see, except for this section here in the park, everything else is within the floodplain. And that's why I had asked Stacy to talk to Keshav, who's the city administrator, to find out if they would allow those signs like with the 1 in 10-year, 1 in 25-year, but they don't have that option.
I mean, we could put them where we want, it's just making sure that they're gonna last. You know, so if we have to, I could just like hide them behind bigger trees and, you know, that kind of stuff, obviously. Even I didn't realize that the floodplain was quite that huge.
I know.
I'm not gonna lie, it's like, oh.
So you're saying we can't put signs up with inside of the floodplain?
Some of the signage that we had, like for instance, and this was the discussion last time.
Some of these are.
Excuse me, the post cover signage, this one,
Uh-huh.
that was, we couldn't put it within the floodplain.
That was when we didn't place because.
So then it's the type of
The type of
sign, okay,
And then.
versus others that could be, I don't know, less invasive than that one is.
But it's also, so it's a combination of
Ish.
that, and then also where would we want to put the signage? That we don't just say, oh, we need 10 signs, but there's actually only 5 places that we can put.
Right, no, yeah, I
So
remember
it's-
that,
it's
yeah.
combination of things, and I mean, it's very, the floodplain lines that I got there, I haven't had time to go in, but that's like one segment. Normally it could, we can make. That's why it's a bit slow.
Oh, wait a minute, which is I thought it was the yellow cayenne, whatever,
The cyan, this is.
cyan, that's the yellow one.
No, the yellow one is the vibe.
That's the vibe.
That's the vibe.
Okay, I get it, okay,
Cyan
I
is
get it.
It's like,
Okay.
oh.
So you can't put signs, but the bike trail, which is concrete trail, can go there.
Yeah.
I think maybe the city needs to rethink that.
Yeah, no. That again, it comes down to, I think the overall, it makes sense why they would want to put some type of signage in the floodplain.
The directional signage would be fine, and that's really on the trails mostly.
Yeah.
We were gonna do quite a few of these little, the 3-inch discs that are like those.
The post though won't work.
And then, so, like I said, we could still put them there, it's just that, say if the mile marker is at a spot where I'm like, okay, it floods, when it floods here, it always floods here. I'm gonna have to try to hide it behind a big tree, cause I mean, we don't want our $500, $600 sign getting nailed the first time it rains.
Yeah,
We could just do more of the fiberglass composite stakes, because those are pretty hardy. The limit is they only show 2 sides, you know, obviously the front and the back, whereas this is a 3-sided or it could be 4-sided. It's not impossible, you know what I mean? We could just switch up and maybe axe that, get more of these. Cause like I said, these are, from when I worked for the county, these are great. I mean, they take a beating and they just pop right back up. And they clean off easy.
I think maybe that's what we do. I mean, when I was just out there a bit ago, even the little arrows, I was like, they're helpful. Like everything we put out there is gonna be so nice compared to, well,
Mhm.
I don't have anything.
So, cause I think we had the post inserts Okay, so I had 4 post inserts, so that must have been like every mile, I think we were planning on that one. So instead we could just get, so for one post insert, or one of the posts, it was about a little bit over $500, I'm sorry, I didn't write down the specific cost for that. But I can get 20 stakes for, I think it was $420 for the Carsonite stakes, after I buy the installation stuff, I know we talked about that. So I mean, it's definitely doable that way if you guys want it, axe that and just go with more of another package even of the fiberglass stakes.
Yeah, I mean, the current nature trail for GIS is 5,663 feet. Just over a mile.
For the entire nature trail?
At this.
Oh, that section,
This
okay.
segment from the park here until.
The button crossing?
And then we can. You want to take it all the way up to the lake?
Well, if you go to Lake Kyle, it should be about 3.5 miles, roughly.
And it ends. Sorry, again, this is. So that total section is 10,935, so. Miles. And. You have to just figure out. To.
And then you see where on that map you have the Vibe Trail that goes, follows the dam. Yeah, that one up to there, up to where it turns green, that's actually right now our part of our trail too.
Okay,
And then, so it's that leg of the Vibe Trail plus the green,
so basically this,
yes.
okay.
And then that little bit of green that goes up to the lake office. Which is probably about another 3/4 of a mile. I can't remember exactly how far. I mean, I know the total was about 3.5.
Okay.
3.5 for all of it.
Yeah, one way.
Yeah.
And that's not, not including what they've done with the single path, the single track, or I haven't even measured that yet. I need to go out and walk it to measure it because I can't track.
So tell me on these fiberglass stakes,
Mhm.
how, I'm not familiar, I mean, I think I've seen them, but how, are they in the ground? How they?
Yeah, it's
out?
just they're usually about this big, about that thick. It's just a stake and the end has like an arrow. And you take like a T-post hamper, it's specialized that, and you just pound it in and it just drives it into the ground.
Into the ground.
And then they're super flexible. You can literally go up and push it over, step on it so that it's literally almost like this.
Parallel for.
And then you just take your foot off and it boings right back up. And that's why I'm like, these would be great for that,
So
for
does it
sure.
blow in the wind or, I mean? I guess-
Usually they're a little bit stronger than that.
Okay.
I mean, if it's
Not the
super
rain,
windy.
obviously, that's a.
Yeah, if it's a
Cold
light
wind.
breeze, no, but
Yeah.
like 50, 60 mile, yeah, they might, but they're still not really, because they use them on the side of the highways too. In fact, they might. I was like, there might be some right around the railroad crossing. I wish I had one to bring in. They're pretty sturdy. I used to, when I ran equipment, I used to mow over the top of it, because the mower had a roller in the front. And I would just knock it over and just mow right over the top of it, and it would spring back up, and I did that for years, and they were, that's why I'm like, these would be I think, a really good.
So Marcia, right now discussing replacing the ones we voted on last meeting with the six.
Just doing the fiberglass stakes instead. So instead of buying the 4 posts, which would be, I guess they're a little bit 4 divided by 1580. Instead of doing that, I could buy like one packet of 20 additional fiberglass composite stakes.
And why are the stakes okay? Is it because they're less expensive?
They, when it
Or they're not
floods,
considered a
so
sign?
on the posts, if you set those in the concrete, it's say mile marker 1, because you need it, right at mile marker. Well, if it's in a bad spot and it floods, huge trees go through, you'd be blown away by how big are the trees that come down there. And they can wipe it out and take it away. And now your $500, $400 sign post is gone.
Okay, so it's more about when the floods happen.
Yeah,
The
durability.
least amount of damage
Yeah.
financially. is avoided.
Yeah, it's a shame, because I like those posts, what I was always thinking would be make it look like an official trail, but if it's in a flood,
I mean, we could still put them at, we could put them at the trailheads easily, you know, you could put one at the Lake Kyle, you could put one at Waterleaf, Button Creek.
Yeah.
But there's also, that's where our trailhead maps are, so is that overkill? I mean, it's just up to what you guys wanna do. They are nice though, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, they're pretty.
Where the trailhead map?
I didn't bring one of those, but we have,
So
so we
those
have,
are gonna be at the trailhead.
yes.
Okay, are they similar to the post office signs or not?
No, currently we have 3x6. I think they're 3 foot by, or 4 foot by 6 foot, like a trailhead.
Oh,
It's just like an aerial map. It's
Okay.
similar to that where it shows, you know, here's the trail.
It says you are here on it.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we definitely need a lot more signage on the trail, because if you don't know the trail, it can be
I still
confusing.
get lost.
I know,
And
but I mean, like,
I've walked it
they
so
made
much.
it, so it's like, if I get lost, but,
It also is nice to keep, even make it more official, because people do start using them, you will get people just making their own things,
Mhm.
and this will keep it like, keep looking for these, don't just go off on your own, you might get confused.
Yeah.
We already had the road trails kind of go.
I know, there was a couple that I'm like, we're gonna have to fix that later, but okay, I see it. Okay, sorry.
It's 3.1.
So then these would go in every so often, however often we want to put them out. They go out that 3.5, whatever, or not. Is that what we were planning to do?
Between that and like remember the little signage discs? I can't remember if you were
Okay.
here for this. I'm sorry, it's been a couple months. The little, but these aren't huge, but they're about like that big that we could put on trees.
Okay, so we're still okay with these.
Yeah, we could
Oh,
still, we
okay.
could still like, oh, okay, there's a bend, you know,
Yeah,
we could put those on,
There's
you
an
know, all
arrow
the
there,
trees if you
the
want.
right track.
Yes.
Yeah.
we're just Xing the posts then right now, and the stop areas.
That has to be because that's for emergency.
I think we
Oh.
might have agreed on the stop areas already. I think we already had that down as every half mile, sorry.
I think so.
Yes, every half mile. So we don't have to worry about the stop one. We don't have to worry. Well, we voted to get some of the Carsonite stakes. So but it wasn't like a set, we kind of left it open because we wanted to look at the maps, the floodplain and stuff like that. But I mean, I knew it was mostly in there, but it was like, oh, goodness.
So what we can maybe do is we can see like logical places for this, just to kind of get an idea of how many you want.
Mhm.
Because I mean, this is an example, here you have the trail and the natural trail, but then you have the mountain bike trail.
Yeah, the single track.
That one might be a good location to say MTB this direction and maybe figure out distances. Yeah. And add that to the sign.
Because I was planning on kind of going out there and pretty much where it tees, starting there, walking that loop, coming back and marking, okay, this part, you know, like you're saying, you know, mountain bike loop or single track loop or whatever you want to call it. You know, so and so miles for this loop and then moving on type of deal.
And then in something like this, if it is single track, it might be beneficial to have a direction. You know, I have that riding, one goes one way, the other one goes the other way, and
Which we've had already. We had a close call the other day, but I mean, it happens, and I've never been around a crash. I've heard it happens, but it's always like a close call, but then everyone's okay, so. We can go through and look at it closer if you want to, but there's advantages to one direction, but it's also like, can you enforce it?
Can you enforce
Because
it?
people will just go the other way and post, you know, sometimes.
I mean, you never really enforce it 100%, but if you have a signage, 95% of people are gonna have a direction on the arrow.
Yeah, we can try to have a little more of a direction. So if you have any ideas on, because sometimes,
I mean, these circular disc ones would be a good.
I think that'll be enough just to be like, to get the
So-
flow going one way.
Where that loop goes to the right, I don't remember if there's a big tree there, but worst case, I can put a T-post in there and or even we could do a Carsonite stake there with an arrow. We might want to put a slightly bigger sign, you know, single track loop one way and then an arrow, that type of thing. So it's not any of this signage, but I could make, specialized signage for that too. I mean, that's not,
And we did, when we made that loop on the right, that red one, we did intend for it to be one way, and then we wrote it, and we actually were like, it's actually more fun the other way. So there was like some intention, and when we were done, we're like, it should be written
so,
clockwise.
so would you go straight into the left or to the right first? You know what I'm
What we
saying?
found is the
Just
most
the
fun way is to go here all the way up.
Okay.
Now, there's actually a little cut through here, it's not on here, so
Yeah,
that's,
there was one, but there
you
was.
kind of go here. Yeah, there was one that looked like a balloon, like it was a string, and then there was a loop, and then you came back out, so we would have to.
This isn't updated.
Yeah.
I mean,
So anyway, that's just, when we get to that point,
Say if you want, maybe when I'm starting to get ready, if you want to go out there with me and we
Yeah.
can like walk it again, like we did, that first time, be like,
Yeah.
okay, this is the route. And then if there's extras, we can plan on closing those off. Okay.
yeah, there's definitely an extra one there, because I took it by accident. and was
I
like,
I know I cut a bunch of brush and covered one, but I don't know if that was a couple months ago, so I don't know if that's still there. But anyway, sorry.
Just a question that the single loops, the single direction is the loops, but not the rest of the trip.
Correct. Yeah, there's very little, I think that might be the only little loop out there.
There's one more over by the Button Bridge
There's one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
that you guys just did that last time that you came out.
But I think, again, this was from like a year ago, more than a year. ago.
Yeah, so this one, Stacy, I remember we rode by, I think this one, I said, hey, I cut that last year and it's overgrown, and you were like, oh, I cut that 3 years ago.
Yes, yeah,
But-
that's open. That was open the last time I went. Anyway.
Then where's Bunton? Is it here?
Button, okay, so right where that single track was down, back by that one, the crossing is, wait. Right, that yellow line right there,
This one.
right, yeah, right where Lizzie's got her thing.
This is
That-
Bunton
that's
here?
where Button is, yeah.
So we have a trail going here.
Oh, so that's a different one.
Yeah, it's different, and it's a loop like right here, and then that concrete bridge that's falling apart.
Yeah,
That's like right where you start coming back.
so that's actually, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So anyway, yeah, we can update that.
So I need to try to update all the GIS stuff too.
Mhm.
But I'll have to ask Steve how he wants to do that,
I mean,
because
again, like,
I can do, was it Strava or
do Strava, and then
I do the,
if he can't do it, I can just do it. He should be able to do it, but export Strava to Google Earth, and then bring the chip on.
and I had learned how to add on to All Trails, but I know that's not the same, because I know that you guys mostly use Strava. But anyway,
I think All Trails is growing because people used to use Trail Forks and they jacked the price up. So everyone I've talked to is like, oh, I'm just using All Trails now. I don't know, things can always change, but that's just what people I've been talking to. So that's not a bad thing to use All Trails.
I mean, once you have this information on there, I think it's pretty.
I do think it'll take just getting out there and
yeah.
which way do we go here? That's kind of what, when we built it, that's how we were out there. We're like kind of looking, oh, that looks fun. Let's get the flow going
That
that
way.
way kind of thing.
But I mean, in a location like this where you have a bunch of different trails coming together, that would be a really good place to maybe put that.
That,
this-
on that particular spot,
Mhm.
it will get wiped out there.
It'll get-
When it rains, you see where the blue, the green and the yellow combine to your right?
Yeah.
So go further than that, almost to that first tiny little bend, right? No, back a little bit, about halfway in between there. I've seen the water that high and I've only been here for 5 years.
Okay.
And
Is that the
it
bridge?
rages through there, yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's definitely one where I'd be like, I would not put an expensive sign there.
But that is where a lot of little trails come together, so that's
Yeah.
maybe where a lot of those, that you're.
But
talking about.
Carsonites.
Yeah.
Yeah, because as you look at that, there's actually 2 additional trails, because he's got the one that they worked on that is right about where your mark is. And then across from that trail, the trails crew and I opened one up, it's like another half mile.
There's this one, which is that loop we talked about, and then there's one here, a new one.
Yeah. and
Right?
there's the one- Cause, yeah,
And there's one here, like this is the vibe right now, but we cut one through the trees right over here. So yeah, this is a lot going on.
so there's like, yeah, I forgot about that. So there's actually 3 more that you're not even seeing on that map that we're gonna have to. But anyway. The place. Basically, I need to get the trails, the maps.
It's really gonna be interesting right there, and I'm excited about it because it's like the creek, which is that red line. It's basically, we're just gonna have trails on both sides. Like, it looks confusing, but it's really like, you can go up one side of the creek and then you come back the other, like, that's kind of the whole idea.
Yeah, I think the creek, this is the creek here.
And that's where bridges, if we ever get to that point, would be really neat, because you can go, hey, I wanna walk a mile up one side, cross the bridge and come back the other.
Do you have bridges right now? Anyone?
2 that I could think of, 2. There's 2, isn't it? There's the concrete one that they installed, which is right there. Then there's the Boy Scout one.
Oh, yeah, that one's great.
That's it.
Then there's one also made out of concrete that's fallen apart, so it's not really a bridge anymore.
That was sort of like a concrete truck dumped in the creek and drove away bridge, so it wasn't really an intended bridge. Like,
It's kind of fun to hop across the.
it's starting to fall apart though, the one that you're talking about. We lost a lot of it, the last rain that came, so, but anyway. So,
So I think, yeah, from this, we probably, it might be better just to be out there.
redo it all, yeah. So I'll probably end up having to bring that back then.
Thank you for doing all that map work, though. It's,
It's actually very.
She's like, it's so easy, and I'm like, you know, okay.
like, just export it and put on this.
And I'm just like, here's my computer, just, thank you. So,
But it's good to even see how big the floodplain is, like, it's all, and that's where they wanna put the bike park, is in the floodplain, so I don't know if that's been something that's been talked to.
yeah, the bike park, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know anything about that.
But I don't know.
I don't
anybody
know where the
mentioned that's gonna
placement
go
on-
in the floodplain.
But it looks like I definitely need to go back out there and try to get updated. So do you guys want to go ahead and just wait on, well, let's not wait. Can we go ahead and maybe do a vote on buying a couple packages of the Carsonite steaks? We already did one on the arrows, but I don't think I put it in the minutes for some reason. Purchase 1 pack. Emergency signage. Okay, yeah, so if we could add, maybe a couple of the arrow packets, which they came in a packs of 100, I believe. Okay. 200 yellow arrows for the nature trail, $398, 100 orange arrows for the single track trail, which technically I don't even know at this point if 100 would be enough. And that's 210, or I'm assuming that if we got 200, it would be 398.
Is there any way we can change from orange to green? Green is known as like single track, like beginner single track.
I thought it was,
Blue is an intermediate.
okay, so green is the starter,
I think that would make more sense to people who ride bikes.
so.
Sorry, I didn't do that last
So green for the single track. But we're still gonna stick with arrows so that we're not making it look like this
think
is
that-
only bikers, because like I said, we don't want issues with anything like that.
time. You know what kind of issues?
I don't want anybody to be like, oh, yelling at people like, well, you're not supposed to be here, this is for bikes only type of.
So you're saying it should be for both. But you kind of hoping the arrows get up that, so there's not a lot of crossover.
But if you put a sign like single track this way. Most pedestrians are not gonna go bushwhacking on a single track.
Right, I agree. And I think most, like we talked about, I think we said this last time, the single track isn't really that fun to hike. It's just kind of a mess to hike. And this is like these little loops through the weeds and stuff like that. But people still might take it anyway.
I mean, do you guys want it, if you guys want to vote on it, obviously, you know, recommending it, it's up to you guys. I just don't want it without you guys.
I think
I
you can
guess-
get signs that have bike,
They do, but
Symbol
the only
on
thing
it.
that I'm worried about is then if we put up a bike symbol and say a hiker decides they do wanna go through the single track trail, and now we've potentially got an
we need to
issue.
warn them that there's
Um,
bikes on that trail.
So I just don't know which way would be the best to handle that.
Well,
Maybe like a warning sign that says, and this is just an idea, like. At your own discretion, this is a bike trail.
Yeah.
We're not having, it's not like we're gonna enforce it, because I don't think that's possible.
I mean, we could do a combination of both. I just, having been out on trails before, if your symbol is there, some people think that that's only,
Sure.
and I just didn't wanna,
You maybe just have.
well, it's running, isn't it running pretty parallel to the,
there's,
Okay.
there's a loop, it's mostly-ish,
Yeah.
like, there's a couple spots where it kicks off and then comes back on because there just isn't enough room to kind of separate the two for right now. Hopefully, we'll get to the point where, we can make a totally separate one. I just don't know if rules wise you wanna limit it that way. And I don't wanna set it up so that it is limited that way if that's not what the direction they wanna go, you know what I'm saying?
yeah, I'm
That's all.
just saying, I'm concerned with the safety of the pedestrians.
So would you guys rather make it post a sign, single track trail, at your own discretion and,
I think if we call it single track, I think it'll get around pretty quick that that's what the bike people use. And these trails, they're pretty safe. Like, I've seen hikers and bikers come together and it usually is fine. And usually everyone's very cordial and nice and everything. And, every once in a while, someone will yell at the other person or whatever. But these are not trails where a bike person is coming down. It's
Yeah,
not-
going
not
crazy
this way.
fast.
So you can usually hear, and the more stuff is cut, and actually this is the worst time of year because everything's less hot and you can't see around the corner that much. But usually it's like, oh, and bikers usually know to say, hey, there's hikers. They'll just yell if there's a group of bikers behind. So from my experience, it's pretty good. And these trails are so flat that I don't think it'll be a problem.
That's good.
That being said, every once in a while, something happens. And people, what the problem, actually, the biggest problem is hikers with earbuds.
Yeah.
That's actually what
Yeah.
the biggest problem, but what can you do?
So single track.
If we kind of are consistent with the single track being green. That would. I'm thinking that'll be something that people will learn, if they're out there. It's very easy to kind of spread that word, like not in an official legal way or anything like that. But then also, if we do make more tracks that are harder at any point, if we ever, then it's easy just to change it to blue arrows.
Mhm.
I think that would work really well, at least for the bike community.
And I would really like to not make the mistake of getting off onto one of the bike trails.
Oh, yeah, so we can try to figure out how to do that too.
Well, like at the trailheads, I can make something that literally shows like, the green arrow, single track, and then the yellow or whatever we decide for the nature trail, so that it's like
So people know the difference between
That
single
would
track.
help.
and
at the.
nature trail.
That would help
beginning.
me.
That's actually something I've been trying to do since I got involved, is this is what single track is. And it's good. I think people who use trails should know this, so that way we do understand each other. So I think that would be great.
So I just want to avoid as many confrontations or any kind of issues as we can, but still be safe.
And even, so the community understands, and this, I like that Stacy has all this education background. We had these ideas of putting QR codes on things that would survive a storm, and people would just scan it and get, oh, single track is meant for bikers. And then like,
That'd be that.
so they can even understand trail design is usually for the pedestrian part to be like the backbone, like the main part, and then the more crazy stuff goes out. Just, we're very limited with our out space right now, but that's kind of how most trail systems work.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've never walked trails that were also bike trails. That's not true in Arlington by Trinity. They would believe.
A lot of the people that I talk to and work with here spend a lot of time in South Austin, their trail network. but she has a lot of hikers and a lot of bikers, so that's where I've kind of got my experience to see how they can work and problems that might come up and like that.
Well, mine is with people like me. Um, there's a lot of older people that hike over there now, that they're learning that it's there. And they don't know anything about biking.
Sure, yeah.
They would not know any of that terminology.
Mhm.
I didn't. I just want them to stay
Yeah,
and not get off somewhere that they're feeling uncomfortable. Or endangered bikers, because they'll walk all over the trail if they don't really understand how
yeah, and dogs off leash can be a problem too.
dogs off leash are always a problem. They're not supposed to be off leash in the parks. But along there, I've seen them pretty frequently.
Okay, so for August, I will work on trying to get updated maps, trying to put together some sort of an idea for QR code / explanation arrows for the single track nature trail. I will try, obviously updating the maps will help a lot.
If you and Josh go out there, just.
Do you work Monday through Friday?
Um,
Cause on the 6th of July, I have park in the morning, which the downside is that puts us out there when it's hot, but I have art in the park in the morning. That's usually done at 12. So we could meet, assuming I didn't already make another. Yeah, so I have to water milkweed in the morning and then do art in the park. But so like between say 1 o'clock, I know that's harsh, but one to like 4, that would give us at least, that would give us plenty of time if you guys wanted to do something that day.
yeah.
Which day?
July 6th.
Good work. Double check.
Let's see.
There would be a nice 75 degrees.
Oh, yeah, in your house.
We'll take the first seat.
Well, I probably will, instead of making old school like we had to.
Yeah,
Remember those days?
yeah.
Anyway. Okay. So. That kind of messes up trying to figure that out then, but that's okay. We're getting there. So what would you like to see on the next agenda, I guess, of things that you guys feel strongly about?
I think maintenance of the trails would be good, especially mentioned erosion control.
Do you want to add erosion control in that part? Like just do blanket maintenance?
Operational maintenance.
Okay.
Is operational maintenance.
That cover, if we wanted, we talked about moving dirt, I think Mariana said months ago, there's dirt at Greg Clark Park, and then when I go out with people on trails, like, oh, let's get that dirt and do this and that. But that's something we want to get into.
Are you talking about for like the bike loops, I'm assuming? Can you go down to the one loop that's right by the
This one,
that far end?
this one.
So that whole still is. So as you go straight, the river run or the creek runs down that side, right? I would definitely say that you shouldn't probably add dirt for that left part, the part where you say go straight, because the water is right there. And I don't remember on the backside where the creek goes, but I think it might follow that white line.
It's a lot of next to the creek, because you're saying the creek runs right here, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then as you go back, that's all straight, which is fun to put dirt on those straight ones, but it's all creek. And even the creek runs here,
okay.
so that it's like it's all once you get over to this part, this is more windy.
Cause I was thinking like the front. That's still not an accurate map either.
No,
is it?
it's not. This
Because
is
it
the
doesn't
one,
Even include, can you go down a little bit? Does that, can you move it? Okay, right there. Yeah, see, it doesn't even have that, cause that straight stretch in the grass,
here,
that would be, I would say that would be.
that would be
reasonable
great.
to add, because I've never seen the water that high. Granted, I've only been here 5 years, but I've never seen it anywhere near that high there.
Yeah,
So I mean, I don't think like that would be a bad.
no, that would be a great spot to try it.
And then the outflow, so that might be the only part on that particular section.
I would love to just
Right.
try it and see, so anything I think would be fun and great.
And I'll also have to talk with the, cause that's wastewater, so I'll have to make sure that. I need to probably talk to them anyway.
I mean, if it's wastewater, that's City of Kyle, or
Yeah.
So, I mean, that eventually, and maybe that is if we can start to move dirt, just see how that goes. Plus, it fits under erosion control, is that local company, Tanner, I forget his last name, just talked to the city about wanting to be the business that brings in dirt, and he has some kind of emulsifier or something like that.
Yeah, he showed me the discs, and I was gonna have him set up to do a presentation. But then it's like, oh, erosion control isn't on the list, so I had to cancel it.
Yeah, so that's just something I would love to get the conversation at some point in the next, I don't know, 6 months or something. He's excited. I don't know if he's any good. I don't know if it's a good idea. But he keeps talking to me. I'm like, see if you can just do like 100 feet or 100 yards for free and see if the city likes it. So that's kind of where we are.
And then so if I wanna set up for like presentations for that, that's fine, but it would be nice to have like multiple options if you guys had any other ideas
I can get some
for, if you wanna send me.
for companies like his.
Well, and you had mentioned, some erosion control methods, I can't remember, like a couple months ago, we started talking about it, but then we're like, yeah, it was like something that you open and, yeah. And then I've seen some at, Waffle House, which sounds weird, it's their parking lot, and it's got like this circles that hold the gravel, so I mean, it must be some sort of, yeah, I'm like, those are kind of cool too, but I don't know if that would hold up to the water that we get, cause it could be crazy, but anyway, I got sidetracked.
I would like at some point, and you can speak to this too, because you have so much more experience with engineering and everything. But I was planning on, I would love to bring in people have offered to come talk to us about how to build trails that are sustainable. And you have to maintain them. It's all about the slope and the angle, so the water runs off. Because right now we have a lot of erosion problems because the water goes
Troughs.
into the trails. And like, how much work does it take? Do we really want to build trails that the water runs off? I mean, that would be ideal. How much work is that? Like, there's people who want to come share with us. They said they're happy to, so we can get into that at some point too. That's kind of the two things I would love to get into in the next year.
Was there things that you guys were really looking forward to wanting to add, or?
Are we, so the Vibe Trail is not us, right?
No.
That's my
mean,
real.
the way
my
it's rewritten, I'm
interest.
gonna assume no, because it has to be engineered.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that we're gonna stick with pretty much the nature trails.
The nature trails.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I just wanna feel like we finalized a project. So I wanna make sure next time, like, we can come up and say, we want these colored stakes, this is what we want on them, this is how many we have, and I mean, I wanna feel like we did something. But
Like, it's frustrating.
no, well, I mean, it's just, I think it's hard when you meet once every 2 months or a month, and to get really things moving. So, I mean, I'd be thrilled if we could at least figure out where we wanna put these signs and what we wanna put on them, if we wanna put mileage on them or not. So that would be my interest for next time.
You're having to get an updated map for that. Is that what we're doing for that?
Yeah.
you know, the other, I mean, I don't know if you're talking about just the next time or for the next few meetings, depending on what's happening. When is the year up or if
So
you're
if-
having to go to a new potential staffing, staff, if you will.
If they restart it on July 10th, it would be until July 2025.
Okay.
So you could have the last meeting in July of next year is how I'm reading that, as
So
your
the
very
one For
last,
this period is
Today.
today.
today,
But if you guys wanna,
continue.
yes, I mean, it's gonna continue regardless, but I mean, if you wanna stay on,
But don't you have to have a certain amount of people or?
I have to still have the 7 people. If you guys decide to vacate,
Okay.
I'll have to reopen
So
it.
that means it's delayed having the ability to have another meeting because you have to have the people.
If I don't have a quorum, yes.
So if you're talking about topics for just in general, for the rest of, you know, for the next year, you mentioned this before about trails on the west side of 35. I'm actually moving at some point to the west side of 35, so, and then for the Plum Creek was, you know, I was that over on the other side, or I am still there, but oh, I'm very interested in that, but then I'm thinking, you know, I'm going to the west side, what's over there?
There's no, well, there's,
That's what I'm curious about, what is over there?
it's just neighborhood trails. It's all HOA stuff, which they're fine. A lot of people really like to just walk around the neighborhood in them. But there's nothing that gets into the woods like that. There's no public land, so
Does
I know I
Plum Creek
should
not
know
go further west?
It-
How far does it go or what?
it does. All I know is I know it goes into the Plum Creek neighborhood. I don't know where it
Okay,
goes.
you're
On
right,
the
you're
west
right.
side of that, I'm not sure
Okay.
where it goes.
So at least up to Plum Creek.
And you.
That's
have
that-
that.
that's that new one that's
But that's associated with the vibe, is that correct? I thought I read on Facebook or something.
Yeah, so the problem with that, where it goes underneath, is not owned by the city. That's owned by some owner we can't get a hold of.
What trail, which one,
Where
the one along 45?
It goes underneath 35. It's at,
Oh.
Wilhelmina or Burleson, the end of Burleson.
Okay, okay.
This one here.
But it's privately owned.
it's private owned.
Yeah, it's owned,
I'm like asking like where exactly, because that might be one of my.
it's the one that owns the Blue Compass.
Because I know there's this is Philomena here.
Oh, yeah, no, it's north of that and across the freeway.
It's right where the river, the creek crosses.
So for the map to catch
City
up.
lights?
Now that the map Philomena.
Are you talking about, yeah,
Oh,
the
it doesn't-
land by city lights, where Burleson dead is?
Where Burleson,
No,
remember how it
okay.
used to be able to turn and then they closed it down? So you go the roundabout, and if you kept going straight, where it's gonna
Burleson?
be, yeah,
That's the Barnes property.
yeah. But they're talking about on the right-hand side, there's that triangle there that is owned by, I don't know if it's Blue Compass, but Blue Compass was the last people that were in there. And we need to gain whatever, there's an acre that we need to get a hold of.
What neighborhood are you?
It's literally like.
Oh, there it is, Blue Compass by Kyle. Explore USA.
It
Oh,
used,
it's the RV park.
yeah, it used to be
Yeah,
Blue
yeah.
Compass,
They're gone, right?
yes.
Yeah,
It's just vacant.
So
This
this.
From those people, okay.
Over here.
No. 35 is right here,
Yeah,
so it's down this way.
but actually off the access.
Find the roundabout,
Close to the
right?
access. There's the roundabout, yeah.
Okay.
So it's right there,
So here's the.
It's right here. Here's the creek.
yeah.
So this place,
up here.
Yep, it's right there. So this is very long grass that I was pushing my
yeah, so
bike through.
so on the right side of 35, we have that already. It's the left side of 35 that we don't.
You have this?
Yes.
It's
Oh.
the other side.
Can we go trim that?
Is all it is the path, well, it's not, I'll need to, let me check the wordage, but the last time that I knew of is all we had is along the brush,
Mhm.
it's just mowed grass. That is our right of way, so I'll have to, let me find out again to make sure nothing's changed. But somehow we have to get across the creek, under the creek, because on the Burleson side, there's not room underneath on the north side to be able to access it, it's gonna have to be the south side, you know what I mean, the rock underneath it.
Yeah, I went under, but it wasn't fun.
Yeah. It
Um,
doesn't look like it would.
So I'll need to
Bike
find
or
out
what?
about, so you're talking
Yeah, but I
about
had
Philomena to
my bike,
35.
but the like, it was a pretty sharp angle, so it was a little
Okay.
awkward, like,
Yeah, yeah,
I wouldn't want to take my little kids underneath it.
I mean, just getting a trail under 35 would be not for next week. Future goals. I'm interested.
Well, I mean, worst case, I can try to get some updates for the next one, you know what I
You
mean?
got
But
the full trail plan, right?
it'd be, didn't bring it with me, but yeah,
Yeah, you gave me that huge map.
yeah.
It's
that
got it
big-
on it.
I should have them print out another one for us.
And the city trail plan includes quite a lot on the west side. But a lot of that is existing trails, like you said, for the HOAs. The one that would be a new trail would be from Six Creeks Boulevard down to the river. And that is city, Six Creeks has deeded that trail to the city.
Oh,
That's your 6 foot long wide sidewalk
Oh,
that you mentioned, that's the trail.
Yeah,
But for now.
There's nothing that goes down. I mean, they have a Six
Down
Creeks.
to the
Yeah.
river, down to 5 Mile Dam.
yeah.
No,
To the Blanco.
down to the Blanco.
Well, that is 5,000.
No, 5 Mile Dams.
No, It's on the San Juan.
Does it go there now or it's did go?
Well,
I haven't
if
heard
you-
there
if
for a
you
while.
take Six Creeks straight in,
Yeah.
you're dead,
That big.
and there, you can see there's a trail.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can.
That's it.
That's where I'm going.
That I went on and ended up in a bunch of leaks.
Yeah, it's not developed yet.
Yeah.
It's Six Creeks,
At some point.
it's Six Creeks' responsibility to develop that.
Okay, I'll honor them then.
Okay, yeah.
If
We
I
need-
got
yeah,
you
if
on
we
the
have
side,
people-
then-
living there and I, paid my dues and things, because they promised trails, that's why I got interested in this, because I was like,
Where are they?
Trails, there's no trails, I wanna run my trail.
Yes.
They did promise them, and would like to see them.
Okay, I will send an
It's
email.
not the
to them
only
and
promise
let
Six
everyone
Creeks
know.
has not kept. but-
Yeah, people said that the trails are pretty good in Six Creeks, but I haven't got back there, but.
The sidewalks are very nice,
Yes.
Okay,
but once you go off the sidewalks, it's really.
there's not much, okay.
A couple years ago, somebody and I went back,
It might be the-
back there where the road ended, because we wanted to know.
Yeah.
We almost got stuck. And we're like, this is crazy. I mean, it looks like it's gonna be awesome if it ever gets done, but it's like,
Okay, well, I'll bother them.
It's somebody's responsibility, so
Okay.
you could put in a good word to get them started on that.
That's actually where I'm building at home.
Oh, you are where at? Do you know what your street is?
Duck Creek,
Oh, you're in Dove Creek, okay.
it's a new area.
so
Yeah.
the other issue with
Good to know.
the Philomena to 35, the land, sorry.
I was gonna say, if you're moving to Six Creeks, you will not be eligible to sit on this.
No, I know, that's why I'll volunteer.
Yeah. ETJ.
It's not in the city of Cotton.
We're
It's
ETJ,
not the city of Fairfield?
no,
Oh, it's not in the city limits?
no. I didn't know that when I.
Where is it in?
They don't tell you.
I don't tell you, it's an ET, I can tell you all about it
Yeah,
after.
it's an
you know,
ETJ.
I've done lots of research.
ETJ.
Extraterrestrial jurisdiction.
Extraterritorial jurisdiction.
Sorry.
An alien planet.
And they don't tell that, Anthem's in the ETJ, it's not in the city, and they don't, the developers don't tell their buyers that they're
No,
not in the city.
What is it? Okay, this is off topic, I mean.
I'll tell you, I can tell you.
I'm
after.
like, yeah, what does that mean?
So also another, I believe there's two pieces of land between Waterleaf and Philomena that we don't have yet. So that's another, and again, I'll check into those. I know that there's,
Idea school.
yes. I think that was 2 parcels, but I'm not positive.
Isn't that Steeplechase
There
Park?
is a,
Oh, yeah, Steeplechase, you're right.
there is a current mixed-use retail park and 18 residential lots at this property here, Carson.
Yes, that's the one, right?
Which one is that? Can you, oh, Word Place. Yeah, that's gonna be, there's gonna be a park there, though. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, the creek comes
Oh.
along city lights. And the Bartons are developing, they've got a really cool development plan.
But this? Oh, so this is the land here that's like the industrial.
Yeah, so there's like an acre there that we need to get, it's like wetland, so I don't think anybody's ever gonna be able to build on it,
Yeah.
but we need to figure out, how to get it. And then that Barton's, that one's really cool, it's got huge old growth, like pecans in it, their family planted the pecans like 50 years ago, it's so
I
beautiful
actually
back there,
tried
it's
to
gonna
ride
be
my way
awesome.
through it, just looking, and yeah, it was pretty cool, but then I ran into the barbed wire fence.
Yeah,
You're like, oh, that's not fun. But anyway,
but that is progressing. I think they're waiting. I've talked with Jeff and Cindy, or Jeff the other day about that,
Yeah. Oh,
and how close it
great.
was, because I.
And I would love if this
concept.
committee could eventually, maybe in another year or two, have input on like how the trails work with that park. I mean, that's ideal, like if we could do something like that.
Yeah, we could, yeah, and they will be developing the park for us according to what we asked them to do. And they've deeded it to the city, or they will. I don't know if they have already. Something like that.
it's really pretty though.
Mixed use, great. But he's gotta wait for the interest rates to come down and money
Yeah,
to
there was
loosen a
like
little bit.
half of it, because they're
Because
gonna
the
develop
borrowers
half
are
and-
wanting too much
But I'm not
equity.
positive on the side. I used to know, but
upfront, which, I mean, they've got the land, but they want something more than that, so that's what's holding it up right now, but Jeff was thinking that log jam would get broken pretty
But
soon.
that's also, he said you would like to talk about the vibe, and I would love it if at some point this year, we can't develop the vibe, but we can talk about how a nature trail might incorporate right into the vibe, like at that new two-step place.
Mhm.
Like, that's the kind of thing I would love. I think people who are trail advocates need to get involved in that conversation, just to be like, hey, we wanna make sure we have the type of trail that we like, coming right in and out.
Well, the vibe is gonna come into it.
The vibe does.
Yeah.
Comes across 150 into
Mhm.
one section, the southern section. It goes across 150 into that northern section. What would be a good thing for trails is that at the bottom of the hill toward Lehman, he's gonna have a park and some retail and a little lake. And we've talked about how important the drainage is gonna be, but that would be a really good area to do a trail back down through there and over to the lake, because that's where all that water goes.
Love it.
That would be cool.
yeah, there's already a crosswalk in there.
But there's a lot that's gonna change.
Oh,
That's walks.
Yeah, I have. Have you seen that, the vibe?
Yeah, I saw that, I saw it the other day.
Do we need to vote on signs anymore tonight? Are we good? We
If
can
you
do that
guys-
July
so-
6th thing first.
How about, do you wanna, can we vote on some of the? It's up to you. If I get some signs now, though, I might have some time to start putting some in, so it's like, even if I just got some would be
Even if it's
cool.
there.
Yeah, if you wanna maybe do some of the arrows. And are you guys okay with yellow for the nature, or do you wanna change that to like green, or? I was just thinking
Say
bright
green.
colors.
Your idea was green for the nature, like for more of a pedestrian, I'm sorry, yellow.
Yeah. I was just, I was
Green
trying
for
to.
the single track.
Yeah, I was trying to think of brighter colors, but if you would rather go with, it's up to you.
White is good because they'll stand out, like green will kind of blend in a little bit, but I still think that might work for them.
No, that's fine. I have green on there for that.
And then you have
And
color
then-
that you want for pedestrian, I think the brighter.
Because I think that they have yellow or they have orange options that I can remember.
Do they fade, the colors, do they fade? Yellow can go to white back in this time.
Well, they'll
If
be
it's
shaded pretty much.
Say most of it'll be under the trees, but I would assume that they probably will. I don't know how long that lasts. But at the same time, I mean, I'm not saying they're super cheap, but if it's $400 for 200 signs, that's $2 a sign. It's not, it's not horrible,
Okay, not really.
so some of them are gonna get vandalized, I'm sure, bent, broken. It happens, it's just.
Yeah.
Orange might be considered like a warning sign.
Okay, so yellow. I wish I would have printed out the color
Now
options.
you got a two-step on there. So that's the lake.
Oops.
See, there's the lake, and you see,
The Five Trails Community.
uh-huh,
Oh, okay.
and it comes across the development at 150, you see,
Oh, I know.
yeah, it goes through,
And there's gonna be trails in the.
uh-huh. And we've told him he has to do the vibe trail and the retail first before he can do the apartments. Because sometimes they put in the apartments and then they just don't ever get around to the things that make
Yeah.
the city money. So, but that green area flows down into the gullies that go under Lehman.
Mm.
Yeah.
And straight into the lake. So that'd be a really pretty area for trails. I mean, he has to put in the vibe trails, all that yellow, right, is the vibe.
So is
He
the
has to put
gray,
those in.
what's the grade that you see down
On
in
the
the green
outside?
sheet, the gray that looks like more trail? Is that trail or is that drainage?
I'm not sure.
It might be some type of trail.
Okay. Anyway, sorry.
But he'll be putting in the
That's a good
vibe, so
question.
he's
Oh,
wanting
sorry.
to,
If it's a trail committee, should know that's trails that you're gonna put in.
he's wanting to get started as soon as possible, but we've drug him through a lot, a lot, and he's ready to get started on this project and is very excited, and we're finally excited about it.
Okay.
At first, it was not exciting.
Okay, so the last time we did a thing, we did agree to purchase 1 pack of fiberglass stakes and the installation. So how about if you guys, if you want, do a second pack of fiberglass stakes? Cause that's, I believe it's $420 and that's 20 stakes. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure. And then if you wanna do like 300 or 400 of the arrows. To like say 200 green, 200 yellow, or 100 of each.
I think 200
I
would be
think 200
great.
is fine, because I mean, I think you're definitely getting.
Okay, so 100 of each color, would you guys,
200 of each.
oh, of each, oh, okay. So would you guys be okay with that? Do a vote on that? So that at least if I do have the time, we can get going.
Alright, so we make a motion. Yeah, so how do we go?
Yes, please.
Alright, I'll make a motion to purchase 200 green, 200 yellow arrows and composite, how many composite signs?
Oh, a pack of, it's a 20. I'm pretty sure that it's a 20 pack. I didn't put it down here.
And one
Oh, yeah,
pack.
20 packs, or 20, yes.
Pack of 20 of composite signs.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Opposed?
For the green, did you want arrows or do you want little biker men arrows? So you want me to do the single track on the front? Okay, just making sure. Okay. So then for next month, do you guys want to try? I'm not gonna lie, for next month, that's a lot for me to try to get the,
I'll be away, I won't be here in July, the end of July.
okay, so would you guys be okay with skipping a month and doing August, where did I put it? I put it somewhere. Oh, August 28th at 6 p.m.?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then could somebody do the motion and adjourn second? Yeah, you have to.
Do we need a motion for this meeting or just to adjourn?
Oh, no, I think we're good. I think we're okay with that. I'm rusty. I don't think we needed it for the meeting. We just needed to agree and put it in writing and then do the motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
I second the motion.
In favor? Opposed? Okay. Fine, to adjourn. We'll get in the rhythm of this, we'll get better, we'll be good in a year.
Well, it was a rough one. I won't lie. I'm sorry, my bad.
Thank you for letting me
Thanks for coming.
chime in. I appreciate that.
No, so we both take,
That is extremely helpful.
yeah.